Thank you so much to all the supporters that make this channel possible. What's up, citizens? This is Subliminal here, and today we'll be discussing my opinions on how combat ships rank for PvE bounty hunting. 316 has introduced atmospheric PvE bounties, and I have to say, this was a welcome addition that I didn't know I needed. But they added more challenges like atmospheric flight performance and fuel consumption that weren't a factor in space combat. Please read the on-screen disclaimers before commenting. There are lots of people who were asking where I got the emotes that used to rank these. Pause here for everything you need to know. This was recorded during my live stream on Twitch, but it was produced for the sole purpose of making this video. This month's ship giveaway is the Aegis Sabre with the Year of the Monkey skin and a $50 Predator Mounts gift card. Link in the description below. Without further ado, let's get to it. I'm going to give you my opinions on how combat ships rank in Alpha 316, and we're starting right now. I'm going to start grabbing the ships that were at the bottom before and then work my way up. So let's start out with the 100i, or really the 100 series. It doesn't matter really which one. This is the 125A. It is a cool ship and it doesn't have very much firepower. So it's not really it's gonna rank low in this tier list again. Its atmospheric flight capabilities are not bad. The fuel scoop is nice for those atmospheric bounties, all right, because of the new atmospheric bounties. It doesn't have enough weapon hard points and it's just so fragile. Another thing too, the price. You could just get a Titan. Get a Titan, please. It'll help you out so much. So next up we have the Merlin series. So P72, P52, it doesn't matter. I'm putting these ships down here because you can't do a PvE bounty in this ship without this ship. So it is gonna go down here. It's even only on this list because if I don't put it on, people will ask. If you want to know how important this ship is for PvE bounties, then just factor it into wherever I place this. Next up, we have the C8X Pisces, or the base Pisces. Doesn't really matter. This ship is trash. Flies terrible in atmosphere. It runs out of fuel really fast, and it's a terrible starter ship. This ship is good to put into a carrot or any ship that can have a snub, and that's about it. So in this combat ranking list, this is where it stands. It's got 4 size 1 weapons, which don't think that that's a bad thing. It's actually decently well equipped. 4 size 1 weapons on paper are like 4 size 2 weapons. If you look at the data on them, there's very small difference between it, but it's just not agile enough, and that's the reason why it ranks this low on the list. And its price is ridiculous, just like the 100i. It's ridiculous. Get a Titan. I know the Titan's ugly, just it's okay, all right, just don't do it. Next up is the Mantis. So this ship requires, I mean, look, this is a PvE, PvE bounties ranking list. This has to stay down here. I want to move it up because sure, it's a invaluable ship for a group of pirates who want to pirate people, right? Really dope. But for doing PvE bounties, this is where it's going to have to stay. The RSI Mantis has 2 FL-33s. It's a dope looking ship. I love the cockpit. It's great. Next up, we're going to take a look at the racing ships here. So they fly like crap. They fly like crap in atmosphere. They run out of fuel very fast from what I've been told. If the M50 and the Razor are the same, I'm going to go ahead and just leave them where they are. The M50 is a racing ship. So is the Razor. By the way, I'm pretty sure that this is still an issue. The upgraded Razors, like the stealth variants and the luxury variants, are actually like slower than the racing variant, and you shouldn't upgrade it until they fix that issue. I don't think it's on purpose, so we'll have to wait for a pass on that. But yeah, I'm not going to change the place of where I ranked the racing ships. The Valkyrie was one of the ships that I put on the list because people were asking for it. It requires multi-crew and it requires a lot of people, and we're talking about PvE bounties. I got to keep it there. Another disclaimer, the larger ships I have not flown in atmosphere because I don't think it matters, because they're supposed to fly like bricks anyway, so I don't think it matters. You just need to just get your turrets in line. So the Valkyrie is a great ship, obviously, but not for doing PvE bounties. Great for transporting vehicles and dropping off troops. Can't wait for there to be actual gameplay for that, but for now, that's where the Valkyrie is gonna rest. The Cuddy. All right, so the Cuddies have been, I think they were ranked D. I don't know. I'm going to move the Cuddy Blue up to rank C, and I'm going to keep the base Cuddy to rank D. Oh, I guess I got to add the Cuddy Steel. So let me just do that real quick. Let's see. Where am I going to place this? S, A, D, F. Okay, we're just going to put this down here. In the Z tier. All right, trash. I can't believe the price. I can't believe it. Hey, by the way, though, channel's doing a giveaway. If you want to win one of these for free, which is the only way that it's worth it, maybe click the link in the description to figure out how to enter to win the Z tier Cutty Steel. All right. So if you and a bunch of buddies want to die, hop in that ship and have your wallet just destroyed. That's the one right there. If you're into that type of stuff. All right. So the Cutty series are great. I'm not factoring in multi-crew with this, and the reason why I'm not factoring in multi-crew is because you could be in so many better ships multi-crew. Move it up another tier if you own one of these and you have a buddy that's always ready to get into your turret. Sure. But I think that that's a minimal case, right? So I would not buy these for the multi-crew capabilities. That the bigger weapons on the turret are great for the Cutty Black and the Cutty Blue, but it's not a deciding factor for someone to purchase it, in my opinion. There are better ships. All right. The Gladiator is a ship that I hate. I hate the Gladiator. It doesn't have enough firepower for a solo person. If you're gonna put a second person in it, you might as well just there's better ships for it. So for these bounties, I'm gonna put it at D. I think it was maybe at C before. It's trash. Doesn't fly great in atmosphere. You get 3 size 5 torpedoes, I believe. But until they slave that turret, if they slave the turret, it'll make it a better solo ship, which would cause it to move up. But until then, this just isn't a ship that you should spend your money on. It's expensive in game. It's expensive with real money, and that's very important. All right, Sabre. The Sabres fly decent in atmosphere. The Sabre Raven. EMPs aren't in like the best place right now, and I think I'm gonna put the base, or I'm sorry, the Sabre Raven, as pretty as it is, I'm gonna keep it at C tier. Now, if you don't know about the Sabre Raven, it's a ship you can't buy anymore. Has 2 size 3 hard points, but it has 2 small shield generators in it, and it looks beautimous. So yeah, Sabre Raven. That's where the Sabre Raven's gonna stand. Okay, Tana. All right, so if you watch my stream, you know I have a hatred for this ship. Let me explain why it's getting moved down to D tier. All right, the Tana has a lot of firepower. If you don't know, you should replace these turrets with the Tashima turrets from the Core. It gives you 2 size 2 weapons, because in the current state of the game, more size 2 weapons is better than size 3s. So you can have 6 size 2 weapons on this thing, and it like annihilates anything that's just sitting there. But that's where that ends. The ship has really terrible maneuverability. The atmospheric flight is terrible. Its fuel consumption in atmosphere is absolutely ridiculous. You could do like 2 VHRT missions, and then you have to go refuel. The broadside of this ship is terrible. It's a terrible ship. Other than the guns, cool factor because of the whole rotating thing. It's a nice starter ship because of the cargo, the cabin space that you get. It's a cool ship, but if you really want to excel at PvE bounty hunting, you need to upgrade to a faster, more maneuverable ship. I promise you, it will save your life. That maneuverability helps out so much with dodging missiles. So many reasons why this ship is not good. All right, the RSI Aurora LN. So I ranked this ship in the C tier last time because it's got 4 size 1 weapons. A lot of people don't know that. I didn't mention it, but you can put 4 size 1 weapons on this. I think it only comes equipped with, no, in this picture it shows that there's 4 of them, but I want to say depending on which one you have, because it doesn't have to be the Aurora LN. It could be any Aurora. They're decent in space. They have 4 size 1 weapons. They have 2 shield generators, but I'm going to bring this down a tier because of its atmospheric flight capabilities. I think this is one of a couple ships, or a few, probably more than that I'm going to peg down a little bit because it's terrible in atmosphere. You're going to run out of fuel fast. It just can't turn at SCM speeds. That's what a lot of these ships have issues literally trying to make a turn at SCM speeds. When you go to turn, it just literally stops, and you're just fighting it with the sticks, whereas some ships just slow down as you turn, and it makes it at least smooth so that you can turn, like it slows your ship down as you turn. Not the case with this. Flies terrible in atmosphere. Next up, we have the Mustang Alpha. The Mustang Alpha is going to stay C tier. 2 size 2s, 2 size 1s. So it is armed great. Its maneuverability isn't great, but it's not terrible. So I'm going to leave it at C tier. You'd be surprised some stuff you could do in this. This is a good ship to start out grinding bounties with to make your money. This is the Mustang Delta. I'm pretty sure you can equip this turret and arm up the other ones as well. So it doesn't really matter which one you have. If it's the Alpha or the Delta is a good starter pack. 300i. I flew the 300 series in atmosphere and it was pretty bad. I think I'm gonna leave this here though. I don't think it's a deciding factor to put it down here on these levels, but it was not an enjoyable experience flying the 325A in atmosphere. So depending on what 300 series you have, it's not great for that. I love the ship, man. I love the origin design language. It's beautiful, but the wings are fragile. It has 3 size 1 weapons, which is great. The inside with the amenities with the moon roof and all that, it's so cool. I really do love the ship, but for these missions, you could do a lot better. I'm gonna leave it a C. I might move it down later. We got to see where the Titan lies. Next up is the Freelancer MIS. This is one of those ships that is not a combat ship, but it still can be used in combat. And it's got the same firepower as a Sabre, even though it's supposed to be like the MIS variant is supposed to be like a gunship. This is the base we're talking about here. So this is the base Freelancer. Can be used in combat. I would gimbal it, of course, but I'm going to move it down here to D tier. It flies really slow. I haven't flown in an atmosphere, but I'm sure it's terrible. And it's one of the ships you really shouldn't be using. But if you do have it and you just want to make a little bit of money real quick, maybe to buy some of these other ships, then you could do it. But it's a D tier. It's a D tier ship. So now we're moving up to the next level, and we have the M2. M2. Is the M2 still B tier? I don't know about this shit. Like, for doing the PvE bounties, it's like if you own one of these, like why are you using this as a combat ship by yourself? And if you're gonna multi-crew it, why wouldn't you be in something else? This is for somebody who wants to bring large military vehicles down to a planet and do so. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna actually bump the C2 down. I mean the M2. I'm sorry, this is the M2, if you didn't know. It's got some extra firepower over the C2, but I don't see the reason why anybody would use this. I think this is the less popular of the two. The A2 is a dope ship to have. I would multi-crew that. I wouldn't multi-crew this. Better off in the A2. And both of these ships, I think, this one might be on sale already, but this one should be available to buy in game in 317. So that'll be dope. The Talon. All right, so I don't know which one is which, so I'm just gonna speak. I think the purple one's the Shrike. I think this is the base. The base is obviously the better combat ship. It flies pretty good in atmosphere. So what I'm deciding on now is if I want to move it up for that. I'm going to move it up, but I'm going to put it towards the end. So it's fragile. My first experience flying it, I got hit with a missile and it took out like almost all my components. No, I'm sorry. I lost shields and quantum drive because one missile hit me. And I had been dodging missiles in every other ship all day, but I wound up getting hit. It might have been a fluke, but it powered off everything. If the wings get shot off, you're dead in the water. But it's a very fast, nimble ship. It's got 2 size 4 weapons on it. It absolutely destroys. It's hard for people to hit it. So I really do love this ship. And I'm going to move it up because of its atmospheric flight capabilities. Shrike, fuck it. Shrike is gonna stay at B tier. The Shrike has 2 size 2 weapons, but it has like 30 something missiles or something like that. If the missiles were hitting maybe more frequently, I still wouldn't move it up, to be honest. Still wouldn't move it up. I'm almost considering putting it down here to C tier, to be honest. The 325A. 325A is the combat variant of the 300 series. It's got a size 4 weapon under the nose, which is great. 2 size 3 weapons. It's fast, but it suffers from the same pitfalls as the 300i. The wings are fragile, and if you lose them, it's a problem. Not so much as the Talon, like the Talon though. But also in atmosphere, doesn't fly good at all. So yeah, I can't put this on the same level as the Titan. It actually flies worse in atmosphere than the Titan, which is, when we get to that, you'll understand that's a bold statement to make. I'm gonna put it down here at C tier. I love the ship. Used to be my favorite combat ship a long time ago, but its atmospheric flight is gonna bring it down a tier here. The Prowler. So they fixed the cheese, if you want to call it, with putting the Gatlings from the Redeemer on the Prowler, which made it arguably OP. The ship is not maneuverable. I did not find an atmosphere, but I'm sure it's terrible. The cannons or if you slap cannons on this, it can actually absolutely destroy. Shit, it might be able to take out a hammerhead, to be honest. I haven't personally tried it myself, but I think I'm going to leave it at B tier. What you need to do with any of these slow ships that have a lot of firepower, when the PvE bounty is approaching, don't move. Don't go and dogfight it like you would in some of these other ships. Just let them come to you. You can face tank some stuff with this. I think it's got some size 2 or 3 shields. I forget. Probably Sukaran, so size 2. And yeah, you could work with this, but it's not really something I would recommend. Khartu-Al. I did not fly this in atmosphere. That's a bummer. The Khartu-Al is great in atmosphere. Man, do I want to move it up for that? No, I'm going to leave it here. I think if I move it up to this and I keep the Talon here, that puts out a message that they're on an even playing field, and they're not. Talon's better in my opinion. So I'm going to leave the Khartu-Al there. This has 2 size 4 weapons like the Talon. It's very maneuverable. sounds cool. It's definitely got the rule of cool going for it all the way around, but it's fragility. It's a catcher's mitt for bullets. That's what I like to call it. It's saying, hey, I want to make sure every one of your bullets hit me. If it could fly in that other mode, it'd probably be better than the Talon, to be honest. Oh, and the stealth capabilities, when stealth was a thing, were awesome. So when that comes back, maybe that might change my opinions on it, because if the stealth capabilities were what they used to be, you probably would never get hit by a missile with this in a PvE fight. Probably never. Because they wouldn't have enough time to throw it at you. They're going to detect you at like 3,000 or 4,000 meters and then never hit you with the missile. So, it's a glass cannon. Freelancer MIS has a lot of missiles, and if you like to do that, I'm going to leave it here at B. It's got the 4 size 3 weapons that you can actually gimbal, because you can't put fixed on. Well, you can lock the gimbals, but you can't put fixed on. Has a ton of missiles, like 30-something missiles. So if you like doing that type of thing, it's a pretty decent ship for that. So I'll go ahead and recommend that. It's obviously going to fly a crap in atmosphere. So if you plan on doing those missions, which I have really been enjoying it. It was a thing that I didn't know I needed so much into the game until they added it. I would stay away from the larger ones, obviously. The Titan. I don't think I can't put the Titan at A tier. I can't. It's a great ship though. Like, it's a great starter ship. Any one of these ships, B, A, and S, are good ships. Don't get me wrong. I hear a lot of people angry in the comments that their ship isn't higher. S, A, and B ships are good ships. Titan is a great ship. I think it's the best starter package that you could buy, and I love it. Size 4 weapon under the nose, 2 size 3s, cargo space, great for running box missions. I wish drug trading was a thing, or drug smuggling would be dope, but it's not. So anyway, yeah, Titan is a great ship. I definitely recommend, like, if you want to progress through going from a Mustang to a Titan to like a Vanguard, if you wanted to. I mean, this can do a VHRT with relative ease. All right, let's get its brother here, the Warlock. Same deal, except it's got it's the most powerful EMP in a small ship, and basically the same thing as a Titan. They're pretty much identical in like their handling. I think the Stalker, which I include in this, it's the variant where you could put bounties in the back that that gameplay isn't in yet. Fits here too. It's actually the more nimble out of all of them, but not enough that I think it makes a difference. But yeah, Warlock is going to remain at A tier with that EMP. The Buccaneer. Oh man, I know every time I come out one of these videos, I beat up on you Drake guys. I know. Look, I don't really have that much of an issue with Drake, but I gotta move this down. Look, it's terrible in atmosphere. It just is. It's terrible. It's a glass cannon. We all know that. And when you get into atmosphere, you're a sitting duck. You try to turn around and it takes forever, and you're gonna just get your broadside lit up. I gotta bump it down a tier. I'm sorry, Drake fans. I'm sorry. The Hawk. I can't remember what I thought about the Hawk's atmospheric flight. It was terrible too, wasn't it? Yeah, that's what I felt like I remembered. All right, so the Hawk. The Hawk is another ship. I can't believe this. I mean, if you can avoid atmospheric bounties, then you can not peg this down a notch. But you really can't. Terrible. Glass cannon, shit in atmosphere. When you're a glass cannon in atmosphere, it's bad. Banu Defender was previously A tier. Chat, I'm going to put it up to S tier. Look, all right, I'm going to put it at the back of S tier, all right? But it's at S tier. This was a blast to fly in atmosphere. You can put a VK00 on this and make the longest jump in the system. So when there's a database reset, like the one that just happened when 3.16.1 went live, if you need to do your certifications, you can jump back and forth across the system and have it not take forever for you to get across. So excellent for that. It's got cabin space to pick up boxes or like loot and stuff. It's got 4 size 1 weapons, flies great in atmosphere. It looks cool, kind of ugly though at the same time, but it's supposed to. Great, it's a great ship. Banu Defender is a dope ship. It's the best medium fighter, even though I think they call it a light fighter. It's a medium fighter. It's what I wish the Sabre could be. Yeah, I'm gonna have to bump it up to S tier. There are some ships that I'd rather be in S tier, but I can't have a tier for every ship. So I'm gonna put it at the back of S tier. The Vanguard Warden is S tier. So the Vanguards actually fly pretty decent in Atmo. So I'm gonna bump the Vanguard Warden up. Now, granted, if you can get a Sentinel or a Harbinger, those would be better. But I'm not gonna bump it down for that. I don't personally use the EMP. I don't want to get that close, and I'm not really a fan of throwing missiles because I hate having to rearm, and I feel like I could just kill the target faster if I just shoot it. So all three of these are going to be in the same deal. Of course, if you like to throw a torpedo, be a little bit slower but a little bit more tanky, get the Harbinger. If you want to have the best one to buy in game, get the Sentinel. Don't buy the Warden in game like at all. The cannons, previously in the last one, the cannons that I love putting on the ship are now available at Cousin Crow's. So you can equip any one of these with those weapons. So they're all S tier, every single one of them. They're good ships. To decide which one is for you, if you want to buy it with real money, you might want to buy the Warden because of the buck system. Go Google that, figure out what that is so you can understand that. If you buy it in game, definitely buy the Sentinel. It's cheaper. It's 2 mil versus like almost 4, and it has an EMP. And then if you like to throw torps, you're going to be a little bit slower in this one, but you've got some torps to throw. Size 5 torpedoes, which is great. These are S tier without somebody in the turret, and if you put somebody else in there, it just goes into oh shit tier. All right, they're all great ships. I was really surprised that they actually flew pretty decent in atmosphere. Granted, not as good obviously as some of these other S tier ships that we're going to get to, but it was great for such a large ship. It's probably had the lowest CTK in Atmo out of all the ships that I did. All right, so the Sabre has a special place in my heart. I love the Sabre. Like I really think medium fighters should be the meta. I can't put this in S tier with the Banu Defender. You should definitely have a Banu Defender over this if you could choose. But I'm going to keep the Sabre at A tier. Flies decent in atmosphere. I would say that it was like at the end of A tier, but now that I flew it in atmosphere, I think I'll put it at it's a solid A tier ship, right? Love the ship. 4 size, 3 weapons. When stealth comes back, it's going to be relatively stealthy-ish maybe. I don't know. Maybe they might make it really stealthy. I don't know. Great looking ship. It's a good ship. It's a solid A tier ship now. Hoplite. Hoplite is really the same as these variants, except it's slower. Doesn't come with torpedoes. Doesn't come with an EMP. If I recall correctly, and I could be wrong, the buck system only applies to the Warden, but I could be wrong. I'm gonna drop this down to keep it at A tier, because that's just where it should be. I can't put this on the same list as the other ones because it doesn't have anything special. This one's special because of what you'll get if you buy it with actual money. This is special because it's so cheap in game, and it is the most nimble out of all of them. And then the Harbinger. Sorry to keep going on about the Vanguards. I should have took care of that all at once. All right, the A2. The A2 is going to be A tier because of its multi-crew capabilities. This requires multi-crew, and I can't put it at S tier because I think the Hammerhead is better because you don't have to like be pitched up at an angle. Basically, this ship's weapons are all at the bottom of the ship. So when people crew it up, they're gonna have to be looking like you're gonna have to pitch up a little bit so that they can actually hit their shots. It's designed to bombard the ground, but you can use it in combat. Very tanky, very, very large ship. If you got like 5 or 6 people, load this thing up and you guys can wreck in the verse. I'm assuming during Xenothreat, it might be a pretty good ship with Xenothreat coming up. So, all right, this is going to be crazy, all right? So the Glaive, right? I think I moved it from S tier to A tier the last video, the 315 video, or maybe it was just 360. I don't remember. My last video, I'm bringing it back to S tier. When you're flying in atmosphere against NPCs and your ship is shit in Atmo, you're moving slow, but so are the enemies as well, right? But here's what this thing is able to do. It has 2 size 5 laser cannons equipped. Turn off the 2 size 2s or whatever size ones, these weak cannon, that's literally what they call them, weak cannons. Turn these off. You get an extra shot with this, and 1 shot from this is crippling. If somebody wanted to argue with me that the Glaive was better in a lot of cases than the Ares Ion, I would disagree with you, but I respect that opinion. All right, I flew this in atmosphere and absolutely destroyed everything because the enemies were flying slower, and I just had to sit back, let them come at me, and I annihilated them. So I'm bringing this back up to S tier. It doesn't fly good in atmosphere, don't get me wrong, but your targets are sitting ducks, so these cannons absolutely slap, these plasma cannons or whatever they are. And the Scythe, same thing. You know what? If I had to pick between one of these, I would say that the Scythe is better. The Scythe has less surface area for you to hit. So I would go with the Scythe, which, I would. I don't know if you can get the Scythe, though. I forget the thing on that. Like, it might not even be available, but great ship. Both of these are. Love these ships. The Blade. I had this at A tier. I think I'm gonna move it down to B tier. The weapons on them are weird. You can't change them. It's not beneficial to turn off the repeaters to give more power to the cannons. I'm gonna actually move it down to B tier. This is a broke ass arrow. I think this ship could be done a lot better. They need to make the weapons all cannons, slower firing, high alpha damage, and it would be great for PvE, or allow us to change between repeaters or cannons. But we can't change any of the weapons on it, so I'm gonna move it down. I'm gonna move it down to B tier. The Hornet's moving down a tier. The atmospheric flight is terrible, and your broadside is going to get lit up. The firepower is amazing. It absolutely destroys with its firepower. It really does. Like, it's got uncountable amount of weapons. Go with the turret that has multiple smaller weapons, like this one shown here in the image. I forget what it's called, but it's got like 2 size 2s. That's better than a size 4 in the most recent patches. And then it's got like a size 3 weapon here, size 3 weapon there. And then I think it's beneficial to actually keep this thing on and keep the smaller weapons on that. I don't know. Look up my loadout guides or whatever for that. I kind of forget exactly what's the best. But this thing has a lot of firepower, but it's really slow in atmosphere, and it's brittle. It's really brittle. If you're on a low pop server, you're going to get absolutely destroyed by You can get absolutely destroyed by NPCs in this doing a VHRT. Those hurricanes will annihilate you. The Eclipse. I'm going to put the Eclipse at A tier. S tier, I mean. I did not fly this ship in atmosphere, so I don't know how it flies. Chat. Does anybody know how the Eclipse flies in atmosphere? Well, chat is indifferent on its atmospheric flight capabilities, but it really doesn't matter. You're going to be throwing a torp from a long way out. I'm going to bring it up to S tier for you guys that like to throw torps at ERTs. You can creep in, throw a torp at the hammerhead, and take it out. So, yeah, I'm going to leave it. The weapons are trash, obviously. It's a stealth bomber, if you didn't know. So, yeah, it's designed for you to lie in wait. The only reason why I might consider it an A tier ship is because you have to rearm it after every 3 torps you throw. So, if you're doing a group ERT, you got to rearm after every one. If you landed and took out each target with 1 shot. So I would honestly go solo ERT for this, like the 1 hammerhead. So that way, if you do miss a torp, you can go back, pick one up before you do the next one. So the Redeemer, I mean, come on, S tier. Requires multi-crew, all right? That needs to be said. The Redeemer requires multi-crew. Does not require 3 people. 2 is fine. If you have 2 people, I think it's better to be in this than a Vanguard. And if you have a 3rd person, I mean, get out of here. If you have a 4th person, they should probably be in another ship, but 3 people in this just dominates the skies. They did nerf the turret. It's a little bit slower, but it's still an S tier ship. The Ares Ion. Did it get nerfed before the last ranking that I did? Did they nerf them? I'm still keeping them S tier. Both the Ion and the Inferno are S tier. So laser cannon variant, ballistic Gatling variant. So if you guys want to know my stance on the nerf, this is very controversial. People argue with it in chat all the time. But the purpose of these ships is to take down capital and sub-capital class ships. Assist in taking down capital and sub-capital class ships. Just like the purpose of this ship is to lie in wait and throw torps at large ships. That's what these are supposed to do. The last nerf that they put on these ships made it so that is the only thing that it's effective at. And for balance in this game, that is the only thing it's effective at. It is no longer a ship that you should go around doing VHRTs in. It's now just like the Eclipse, something you need to do like solo ERTs. You could do the groups, but the hurricanes are going to be a problem. The hurricanes are a problem for these ships now. Basically, they added bloom and they removed the fixed assist. So you can be aiming directly at your target with these ships and it might miss. Not the case when you fight a hammerhead. You sit still, let it come at you, light up the front shield, then once it's down, then go in and kind of start dogfighting it, aiming at the nose. That's how you take down a hammerhead as quick as possible. I plan on making a video showing you guys how to do that soon. So yeah, these ships are S tier because they're one of few ships that you can use to take out a hammerhead without having to equip a torpedo. You can take out a hammerhead without having to throw a missile. So it deserves to be S tier. 600i, better at taking out hammerheads, I think, than these ships. Because there's no risk of dying, really. Unless you're not all that great at fighting. Same thing, sit back, let the enemy come to you. It's got 3 size 5 weapons. So it absolutely, just slaps. But it still has its fixed assist. And it can take a beating. So the 600i, S tier ship. And I know a lot of you guys were requesting that maybe like I go through the S tier list, and you know, maybe I might do that after this. I'll go through the S tier list and then kind of just rank them amongst there so you guys can know where those lie. But great ship. Doesn't even need to be multi-crewed. Solo. Great ship. Hammerhead is S tier, but it requires multi-crew. You want at least a pilot and 5 gunners. No, you don't have to have 5, but 4 is enough. But don't put anybody at the rear. It's not really necessary. Unless you're planning on PvPing, then you're going to want to multi-crew it. But yeah, Hammerhead is a great multi-crew ship. It's a good fleet screen ship. If you don't know, it's got 4 size 4 weapons on each of the turrets that you see. Those 4, it's got a turret here, and it's also got a turret at the back rear. Great multi-crew ship. You can have a lot of fun with it. I mean, it's not worth it to multi-crew it for PvE combat, but it's still great. All right. Retaliator has more hull HP than the Hammerhead in a recent patch that they did. Absolutely ridiculous. Great ship for Xeno threat. You can throw torps at your targets. You can fully crew it, and there's a lot of turrets on this thing. I can't remember which ones are the size 2s. I think these 2 are the turrets with size 2 weapons. This is the turret with size 3, and I think there's 2 more turrets somewhere that have size 3 weapons on it too. It's got a balls load of turrets, and it's got torpedoes. It's a great ship, and it's hard to take out. If you've ever had to kill one of these in an ERT mission, it's a problem. It takes a long time to take it out because it's so OP with its health. And of course, you can take off everything but 1 power plant and a cooler. Even the weapons you can take off, and it can be kind of stealthy, and you can throw torps and stuff without them seeing you. So I'm saying take off. You need 1 power plant, stealth power plant, and a cooler. That's it. Actually, the stealth probably doesn't matter in this patch, but a power plant and a cooler. That's it. No shields, no quantum. No, I guess you need a quantum drive. So quantum drive, power plant, and 1 cooler, but not just 1 cooler and 1 power plant, not 2. And it's great for soloing ERTs that way. The Connie series is excellent. So if I had to rank, no, I'll do this at the end. I'm gonna rank Hammerhead takedown ships, but great at taking out the Hammerheads. Go fixed, go cannons, go after the ERT. Like I said with some of these slower moving ships, when you're fighting Hammerhead, let it come at you and just unload on that front shield to take it down completely, and don't let it go back up again. Great ship. The Connie. And then you add in that it's got a snub, put in multi-crew, and if this was a multi-crew tier list, like a lot of these ships would have to move down, and this one would still be S tier. So this is God tier right here. The Connie is actually a good ship. I can't believe it. The Hurricane needs a nerf. The Hurricane needs a nerf. There's no reason for a ship that's this nimble to have this much damn hull HP. It's absolutely ridiculous. Hashtag nerf the Hurricane. It's really annoying to fight these things in PvE bounties. It needs to be nerfed. But if you want to get in it with a buddy, it's a dope ship. It's got 2 size 4 weapons under the nose. It's got 4 size 3 weapons that a turret can operate, not slave to the pilot. You have to have somebody else in there. The ship absolutely slaps. Played Jumptown for hours. I think we only killed 1 of these with a crew of 8. Couldn't do it. They just left whenever their ship got damaged enough, and then just came back after they fixed it. Next, we're getting up to some really fun ships, all right? We got 2 more ships left. We got the Gladius and the Arrow. Very similar ships. In my opinion, the Gladius is better. The Gladius is very, very good in atmosphere. I think it was the best ship in Atmo that I found, period. Best atmospheric ship. It's very nimble. It's small, size 3 weapons, 2 size 1 shields. It's the best, in my opinion. If you want to argue that the Arrow is better, it's a valid argument. I understand it, but I think that the Gladius is better. I don't think that the atmospheric flight being a little less than the best atmospheric flight experience that I had is a reason to bring this down to the next tier. Just know that if you're looking for a light fighter, I personally recommend the Gladius over the Arrow. Although the Arrow is a great ship, you also want to make sure you equip the 2 smaller weapons at the top. Again, like I mentioned earlier, you get more DPS that way, really at almost no cost. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is where I rank all the ships. Let me bring this back up here. I can't have it off the thing. It's F tier. Don't, Jesus. So if I had to rank ships that are really good at doing ERTs, we're going to say the Andromeda is really good for doing ERTs. The Retaliator is really good for doing ERTs. The 600i is good. Of course, the Ares Starfighters are good. I'm going to not talk about anything that requires multi-crew, because you're probably not going to do multi-crew in the Redeemer doing ERTs like when you're actually trying to make money. Eclipse is good. I wouldn't use any of these. None of these. This requires multi-crew. Yeah. So these are the best ships that are in the verse for taking out ERTs. I personally don't like missile throwing, so I'm going to put these two kind of at the end, and I'm going to rank these. So here's my thoughts. Fourth best is the Andromeda for taking out ERTs. Then I'm going to say the Inferno, then the ION, and then the 600i. If you want to take out ERTs, the 600i is probably your best bet. If you want to argue that you might want to move one of these one or two spots, like I'm sorry, one spot in a different direction, that's completely fair. But 600i absolutely slaps at doing the ERTs. You don't have to rearm. You're damn near invincible unless you just like literally just sit there once they start firing at you. Great ships for taking out ERTs, and that's where I rank them. This month's ship giveaway is the Aegis Sabre with the Year of the Monkey skin, LTI, and game package. There are 10 ways to enter. Just visit subliminal.gg/giveaway. Pro tip, the redeemed Twitch channel point reward can be done once per live stream. If you enjoy my channel, there are so many ways to support it, ranging from free options like Prime gaming subscriptions and sending out for UEC in the verse, sub club subscriptions, merch, to more generous forms of support. Head over to subliminal.gg to learn how. Your support in all forms makes this channel possible. Even your viewership, liking, and subscribing goes a long way. Until next time, citizens, I'll see you in the verse.